In this chapter, we're going to use a piece of middleware called Socket.io to create a simple live chat for our site. But just like with other sections, we'll start off by preparing our route and the associated pages that will go with it. Now, this is going to be pretty simple and somewhat of a review, so let's get going. So first, I'm going to go into my app.js file, and I'm going to add the link to the additional route, which will be chat route. And then I'm not going to save yet. I'm going to create that route right here. It's going to be pretty similar to what we did in feedback.js. So I'll make a copy of that one and I'll call it chat, of course. So of course, chat is going to have chat instead of feedback here for the get and the page ID, as well as the page title. And there's not going to be any additional functionality in this route. We're going to take care of everything in app.js. So I'm going to save that, and I need to create the chat view that I'm referring to right here in this render command. So again, I'm going to take the feedback.ejs file and go ahead and make a copy of it. And I'll call this one chat.ejs. And this is going to have the page, and it's going to be pretty similar to what we have here. I've created a special gist with all the HTML that you're going to need, and it's at this URL. You're going to need to go ahead and copy this. So we're going to click on the raw button. That'll make it easier to copy. You can see that there's no sort of EJS. It's really just a lot of plain HTML. And essentially the key here is we have a form, and this form is going to have a name of chat form, which we'll be referring to later. And then there's a few input fields here and also a submit button right here. It's easier if we see it all rendered out. So let's go ahead and copy this and then go back. And what we want to do is paste it and replace this container that is right here. So I'm going to just delete that entire container section. I have Atom, so if I click on this little arrow, it's going to collapse everything into one line. If you don't have that, just make sure that you select the entire container and then you paste. And I'm going to give it another carriage return. Sometimes it likes to put this in the same line. And let's go ahead and save this and also save our app.js. So I didn't want to save the app.js before because I know that as soon as I do that, it's going to actually look for the route, and it didn't quite exist until we actually created it. So now I'm safe to save, and I'm going to switch back over to the site. And I need to actually add the chat in the navigation, but we can test it out right now. So if we go to /chat, we should see the form that I'm talking about right here. So let's go ahead and finish it off by adding the chat link to the navigation. And so let's go back into my editor. And I'm going to need to go to the views, the template, and then header.ejs. And in here, we're just going to add another item at the right of the navigation. It's going to be called chat. And the link will say chat right here. So let's go ahead and save that and go back onto our page. And we may need to refresh this. You can see the chat button there. And now if we go to the different areas on the site, you can see the different pages, including the chat. Now, this chat isn't going to do anything yet. And in the next video, I'm going to show you the chat functionality, but without Socket.io, just what it takes to wire up this form to JavaScript.